Namaste, Vanakkam, Namaskaram, and welcome to a bumper packed program today. We are so honored that in our company we have two amazing artists that's going to share some important and absolutely beautiful information around International Day of Yoga, as well as talk to us about their careers. We are privileged to host Padma Shri Kailash Kher, spiritual and Sufi singer, lyricist, music composer, and more than that, we have in our midst the South African artist Wouter Kellerman. Now, just a little bit of an introduction. The journey of Kailash Kher is absolutely remarkable. In a career of 15 years, he has sung more than 1,500 film songs. He has sung in more than 20 languages, and he has won almost all the prestigious film awards. He's one of the Navratan brand ambassador elected by Pradhan Mantri Shri Narendra Modi for Swachh Bharat campaign. And more than that, he is the voice behind Skill India, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, Nari Shakti, Bharat Ke Veer, Bhim, all these app digital payments that he's accomplished, as well as Bharat Ujjwala, etc. He's perhaps one of the youngest musicians to be the recipient of Padma Shri, and his band, Kailash, has performed more than 1,200 concerts worldwide. The Kailash Kher Foundation is one of the front runners to offer ration, groceries, medical kits, life-saving equipments during this coronavirus pandemic. And of course, we know the pandemic has taken the world by storm. It has caused severe suffering amongst millions of people around the world. And of course, we've seen many fatalities. But joining us today as well is Wouter Kellerman. And more than a decade after the release of his debut album, Grammy Award winner Wouter Kellerman is recognized as one of South Africa's foremost musicians. And he has an extensive following across the world. Over the course of 7 albums and through many high-profile live performances and collaborations, Kellerman has steadfastly built on the rigorous classical training of his youth to create a signature sound that has earned him both critical praise and absolutely multiple awards. Amongst these, becoming the second only individual South African to win a Grammy Award since Miriam Makeba was honored by the Recording Academy in 1966. Kellerman's Winds of Samsara is a collaboration with Indian composer and producer Ricky Kedge, and it was named winner in the Best New Age Album category at the 57th Annual Grammy Awards in 2015. This wasn't the only accolade received by the critically acclaimed album Winds of Samsara. It also reached #1 on the Billboard's New Age chart and peaked at #1 on the Zone Music Reporter Top 100 International Radio Airplay chart in July 2014, going on to win both the ZMR Album of the Year and the Best World Album Awards a year later. But just on that, Wouter Kellerman's songwriting was of particular interest in Love Language with the Long Road, a solo flute piece written by himself for Nelson Mandela, winning the Global Peace Song Award in the publicly voted acoustic contemporary music category. And he draws on many musical influences from Senegal, Spain, Cuba, India, Greece, and the United States. This particular song, Love Language, amply demonstrates Kellerman's ability to dominate global charts, debuting at #1 on the Billboard World Music Charts, and of course reaching the top position of the ZMR Top 100 International Radio Airplay chart in August 2015. He's very passionate about teaching and empowering young people. And he's been involved in the SOS Children's Village in Ennerdale in South Africa for the past 16 years. He's traveled extensively and he works in a philanthropic manner as well. The Inyathelo Special Recognition Award was given to him for this particular work. So we see in our midst today these two inspiring legends of our time, that they not only focus upon music as a career and perfect the sound, but it actually has a higher and a deeper calling. So with us in studio, without further ado, Kailash Kher, namaste and welcome to the program, and Voter Kellerman, namaste as well.
Namaste.
Thank you both so much for joining us. And I have some
My
questions
also
for
humble
both of you. So I'm going to pose the first question to Kailashji. Kailashji, thank you so much for being with us
yes.
today. You've just taken the world by storm with this song for International Day of Yoga. How did you manage to bring so many artists on board and include South Africa's maestro Wouter Kellerman?
To me, India has a great potential to heal the entire world through yoga and music, and the spiritual strength of India, which can cater to the entire universe. And this was the beautiful opportunity to work with all the legends internationally, like Wouter Kellerman from South Africa. He's a pride of South Africa, and he's a pride of world. So we were super excited about it. The moment Prime Minister of India requested us, his office requested us to create this song for International Yoga Day, and we were super excited. Only the challenge was that it was very short time we have to create from nothing to something. And 16th of June we came to know that yes, we have to compose a song. And within 4 days we have composed, we have to produce, we have to coordinate with Wouter, and on a rocket speed, everything, synced and everything gelled well, and this magic happened.
That's absolutely incredible. And voter, it was on the 16th of June that you were told that you were going to be part of creating this beautiful piece of music. And you know, as a South African, 16th of June is a very special day in our history. And for me, don't you think creating this music has a transcending effect somehow on the suffering of our people?
Yes, I think, as Kailash said, music has the power to heal, and yoga has got the power to heal. So to make a song, a yoga song, was just an absolutely magnificent opportunity and such a satisfying and beautiful creation. I was really happy to hear from Kailash. Actually, I had been to his house just before the pandemic started in early last year, and he invited me to his house. I'd been a huge, long-time fan of Kailash, and when he phoned me and he told me about the opportunity, I was actually busy with something else, and it was really inconvenient. But I just dropped everything and and just put all my time into this because it was just such an opportunity that I had been waiting for.
That's fantastic. And you've worked also with many international artists, Voter. You know, you're a Grammy Award winner, which we've just spoken about. What is it that inspired you to work in the East? Because you've also known to work in Africa and the West, in terms of your music genres. What is it about India that inspires you?
There's just something absolutely beautiful about the Indian music that speaks to my heart, And actually, in my house, when we were little, there was only classical music, Western classical music. But when my mom went off to work, the lady that looked after me in the mornings played only African roots music. And so I started listening very widely from a young age. And when I started writing my own songs, I was very much under the influence of Eastern music and the beautiful sounds that comes from there. So it's just something that I've always wanted to do, is to collaborate and somehow cross over. I do find that roots music all over the world have got something beautiful in common. It's as if our common ancestors from hundreds of thousands of years ago speak through us, and there's a common link that even though people from different continents who've never been to each other's places can find common ground through the music.
Excellent. And in this particular song for Yoga Day, you also brought in artists like Lira and other African artists, Voter and Kailash. What inspired you to bring this mix of artists? Because they may not know India or have that connection. What was the symbolic meaning of actually bringing them together?
Is it
Kailash, you can
me
go.
to answer?
Yes, sure. Kailash, you
Yes.
can answer, and then Voter,
So-
because I like Lira, for example.
Lovely. So let me add my emotions first in this. The moment we come to know it's the song about yoga, and the yoga is being celebrated internationally. 190 countries are celebrating this, a treasure, or this is a, I would say, the export or a gift from India. So definitely I was on a cloud nine when I know the legend and the hero of musicians, likes of Wouter Kellerman. So I was dreaming to have as many as beautiful international musicians to add their soul in it. And the moment I called Wouter regarding this, that I need six at least, five or six at least international beautiful souls, and maybe six will be from India. So that's how I want to celebrate at least 12 uh, numbers of performers. So he immediately second my thought and appreciated, and immediately, on the same wavelength, on the same speed, on the same challenging mode, but yet very enthusiastically, he motivated me that yes, Kailash, let me put it this um, out, and let me try out all the beautiful people who I would like them to be in this project. And that happened the way we thought. Over to you, Wouter, now.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense to involve international musicians, because yoga belongs to the world now, and not just to India, and it's so much part of the cultures across the world. And actually, I created my first album when I started, when I wrote my first album in 2005, 2006. All of that music was written after yoga, because my guitarist was also my yoga teacher. So we would get together and do yoga first, and then wrote music. So yoga has been part of my musicianship for a long time. And so when Kailash mentioned that we need artists from all over the world, it kind of made a lot of sense. So I asked Tulsi, my manager, to get in contact with some of our musicians that we know and that we love and respect, and that we thought would be perfect for this. And she phoned, I think it was 10 o'clock at night our time. She started phoning, and within an hour we had everybody saying yes. Everybody we phoned said yes immediately, and they were on it. And we had 24 hours to do our bit, to do all our recordings, creation, and the video as well, and then to send it back to Kailash, who did the production. He was in charge of the whole production and everything else. So, but we managed to. It was very challenging, but we managed to pull it off in the end.
It's
It was
absolutely
magical.
amazing. It is absolutely magical. And Kailashi, what type of instrumentation did you use in the music itself? I mean, of course, the flute it's so visible in the video itself. but also,
Yeah.
the type of music that you used in the creation. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So the basic sounding we designed, keeping the earthiness, the folk elements from India, and we used some folk instruments like mandolin, like saz, and one instrument from East Europe, that is called gozang. So that also we merged with Wouter's magical flute, and along with that we started with piano. So piano and the lead guitar, uh, electronic guitar, they did music pieces in bits, but together we merged the Wouter's magic of flute and that gozang, as well as saz and oud. Oud is from Uzbekistan and Afghanistan style of instrument. So we merged all those sound, and it all together it sounded like totally miracle. So it was complementing the lyrics and words also. And more than that,
Absolutely.
when the English lyrics came in between, where every international performer is adding layers. So it's like wow kind of feeling.
And we always say that music transcends race and religion and ethnic boundaries. And you guys came together. You actually proved that just with the simple, use of sound. Kailashji, in Hinduism, when we speak to the spirit of sound or Nadi Brahman, it's aligned to the universe. Why do you think why is music considered a yoga to realize God or to realize the divine?
So if you align mind, body, soul, if you make in sync these three, then definitely you are already in a meditative state. And once you are in meditative state, then you meet the ultimate supreme almighty, your Parmeshwar. Once you know the Parmeshwar's tattva within you, then definitely there is a asana, there is a mudra, there is a dhyan yoga, there is a way to connect with that. So you can, like how we eat. When we eat, we take a certain position, and our Shastra and Vedas says that when you eat, you have to stay, straight, sit straight, and you have to eat in certain way. So those are the mudras we follow. And immediately in yoga, without teaching, we do the same. Now it's not only, as Wouter reminded, it's not only in India which what we are practicing. Since yoga is now internationally being practiced, so definitely every soul on earth is trying to heal themselves by yoga. So it's a unique method of how our ancient epics are teaching of living the way we should live, and how without teaching the entire world has adopted the same way of life through yoga. So it's kind of hand in hand, and music and yoga, it's a way of life, both basically.
Absolutely. And we know that music is a powerful source of healing. It's a powerful source of uplifting the soul and connecting ourselves to the divine. Can you share a little bit on that thought, Kailashji? And then I'm going to ask the same question to Voter. How does music transcend and lift our souls and connect us to the Supreme?
So whenever we are born on earth, and when we start our journey, there is a way we get conditioned. Everyone gets conditioned. Certain way we have to live, certain way we have to act, certain way we have to move our life. But once we come to know that what certain way we have been practicing, it's not enough. Sometimes people are after money, after materialistic stuff, but then there is a stress level. Once you make so much money, you make so much power, you get so much success, but you get stress also. And it's not any particular religion or particular race or particular creed. It's human. Once you realize that, oh my God, I have lost my health by the time I earned and I got everything else. So what is the point of, blindly racing something which is not giving you wholesome growth pattern? Music actually plays the biggest role there, because music is the right balance of your karma and your achievements. Once you start aligning your soul into music, then definitely not only that you have to be musician to be in alignment with music, you can be a good listener, yet you can heal yourself. Once you heal yourself, you can heal the world through music. Music has that immense power of healing the entire pain of this entire world. So many developed countries we have performed, so many developed countries, so many powerful people we come across to meet, I find them little bit stressed, little bit troubled. There is a pain around them. What is the point of having so much of glory? What is the point of having so much of name and fame and power if you are not at peace, if you are not at relaxed state? So music plays a huge role. And many times, people have given me compliment also, that especially your music, like Kailasa and Kailash Kher's music, have power of healing. In fact, let me explain very briefly recent incidents. So many doctors, so many medical associations we have been singing for virtually. And why so? Because when they were not able to go home for a week's time, you know they have been working 24 hours, 36 hours, 48 hours, and they hardly get time to even go home. So they were also going through little bit of stress, where music only helped them. We performed, we made them cheer, we made them smile, we made them laugh, we made them dance. So healthcare people,
That's
healthcare sectors
beautiful.
people, doctors, so music has that magic actually. And we did the best.
I think that's absolutely beautifully said. I think it's so magical in the way you're describing it. Wouter, what did you feel about the power and the magic of music and the ability to help and heal people?
Yeah, for me, music is a kind of a meditation. So every day when I play my flute, it's also my meditation. And I feel when I perform that kind of connection that I feel with the world and with the universe, I'm trying to send that good energy into the world. And that's, music for me, that's the main purpose of the music, is that healing power that it brings. So, and it's quite a subconscious thing. All I do is I just want to do something as beautiful as possible and something as positive. It can be mysterious, but it's not negative. It's a positive force and a powerful positive force. And with music, sometimes you can go where words can't reach. You can say things that you can't articulate in any other way. And in this way, you can communicate with someone across the world with a totally different culture. And you can you can show that person the emotions that you feel and the energy. You can send it across the world. And that's the most beautiful thing, I think, that music brings.
That is so beautifully said. Thank you so much. I think that's absolutely inspiring. Kailashji, when we speak about getting back to the source, we always go back to the Rig Veda. And all right, I see there's a bit of Desi is back again. All right, when we speak about music, we have to go back to the ancient sound of Om and the fact that Om is so sacrosanct in the Rig Veda. How do you feel about when you chant Om? What happens to you as an individual, and how does that chanting reflect itself to people around you and to things around you?
Can you please repeat the question again?
So I want to talk about the power of Om and where Om comes from. The first time it is, known, it is from our Vedic scriptures. But yes, go ahead. I think the internet is all right. I'll come back to Voter. And Voter, we are just speaking about the healing power of music. In South Africa, we have the concept of Ubuntu. And in India, it's the principle of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which means the world is one family. And Ubuntu means I am because you are. Do you find that there's the synergy between the Eastern paradigm and the African paradigm that brings us together in a common space, that that as much as we try to separate ourselves, we constantly brought together as one human family? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, there's a strong common thread all over the world, around, for example, eating together and having big family gatherings and connecting to each other. And I think that happens all over the world, and I think it's a basic human need. And we live because of other people. We exist and we find purpose because of other people. And I think, that's the reason why I make music. It's because actually there's two reasons. The one is my own meditation process, but the reason I create new music is to connect to other people. So I think, and it's common, in the Greek society, for example, you get these huge family gatherings, weddings, and people connect. And in South Africa, as you say, and India and everywhere. So I think music is just one way to connect that fits into the whole idea of Ubuntu.
That's excellent. Kailashji, I see you back. No, not yet. Oh, okay. I think there's a little bit of a connection problem there. But I'll continue with you, Voter. Thank you so much for being with us. I wanted to understand, during the making, and you've just had a few days to actually do the song for International Day of Yoga, but you had to do it, online, and you had to bring in people. What was the challenges that you experienced, and what was some of the triumphs, that you managed to pull through in the creation of the song?
Yeah, if you're together in the same studio, you can feed off each other, and you have that immediate reaction and that immediate inspiration from what the other person is doing. So you can actually do something much quicker. Online, it's much harder because the one person has to first do the song and the other one has to respond and then send it across, and the other one responds again, and it's very, very challenging. But the way we managed to manage that challenge was basically, for example, what I did is I created many options, and I sent to Kailash and his team. The whole song was filled with flute, so they can pick and choose what works and what doesn't work for them, and what works with everybody else. And I think so did everybody else. So it came down to to the production in the final element to put it all together. So it was very challenging, but we've learned how to do this now over the last 18 months, and we've all been working like that. So it's manageable.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm glad we got Kailash back again. We were speaking about the sound of Om, and why is Om so important in music?
I think you muted, Yashika.
All right. Thank you for reminding me. Kailash is in the mountains, so that's why he's not having a good connection. So I do apologize. I see Daisy back in. Namaste.
Yes.
All right. Kailash, we were talking about the sound of Om. Can you explain why it's important in music? Yeah, it's coming up again. We must apologize to the viewers. Kailash is right now in the Himalayas, so there is a little bit of connection issue. But we'll try and get him as Daisy. All right, namaste. We were talking about Om and the importance of Om in music.
So I'll start now. There is a saying in Hindi, ओम से कर लो प्रीति प्यार से, ओम ऐसा है बचा दे तीर और तलवार से, ओम जिसने रट लिया वो जब चला संसार से, तो मोक्ष द्वारा पा लिया छुटा आवागमन की मार से. The meaning of this entire phrase is, if you chant just Om, as the Om is the sound of universe, as the Om is the sound of silence, and as the Om is the sound of completeness, fulfillness, and Om is the sound of everything when gets mute. When nothingness is there, then Om exists. So if you chant that, it means you are chanting the ultimate nada. Ultimate nada means you are chanting some way the nad utpadak, Brahma Shiva, Mere Mahashiva. If you are chanting by unknowingly also Mahashiv, then definitely you are chanting about life. You are gratitude. You are full of gratitude. You are full of thank you.
Okay, there is another technical error there. I'll just continue with you, Wouter. I'm so sorry. I do apologize. And I think it's also just to show, technology takes us to different places. It can bring us closer together as well. I think he's back again. Okay, namaste. I see you back. Kailash, you were talking about the beautiful quote in Sanskrit on the sound Om. I think you should continue. Okay, I'll move on to Wouter and then we'll come back to you, Kailash. Wouter, when we speak about music and the sound and rhythms become so intrinsic in the formation of a song, and you've done pieces of music in dedication to peace, in dedication to harmony, and we've seen from your short bio, that has been sent to us, your work with the indigenous communities in South Africa. What is it about the music that plays a role in actually helping these communities, in making them become, uplifted in a way so that they remove themselves from this pain, from suffering and sorrow that we see so much in our lives in South Africa and elsewhere?
I think definitely music is a way to escape your immediate surroundings and to take you to a whole different level that's independent of your daily struggles. And I mean, we've definitely, I think every one of us have experienced that you can be going through some really difficult times, and music will just take you out of that situation and take you to a whole different level. So it is definitely, I think, true across the world that that's the power of music. We went to Jodhpur in Rajasthan, for example, and we collaborated with the local folk musicians there at the Rajasthan International Folk Festival. And so here we were from completely different continents and connecting and having, not even knowing much about each other's music. And here we were connecting and able to find each other in the music world. So, I mean, it's a cliche, but music can really take you places.
Absolutely. Kailash, you're joining us again. Tell me, as a musician and a Padma Shri awardee, what is it about music that inspires you spiritually?
To me, music is the biggest religion any of human can actually follow and practice, because music has the power to bring everyone together. Music has the power to heal the world. Music has the power to heal the entire pain of this entire universe. So music is one universal religion a human can practice and follow and be one with one. So oneness and for togetherness, for harmonies, and for humanness. Definitely, music is the biggest gift the nature and the supreme, the Paramatma, the Parameshwar has given to anybody. So we are the lucky one that we are musician, and we are the lucky one that we, in this era, we connect with so many continents, different continents, musicians, and all those brings these wonderful.
I see the connection again. But it's really powerful and inspiring words from Kailash ji as well as Vota ji. I think it's really, really fantastic to have both of you here. Just listening to both of your musicians, that have huge followings wherever you have traveled, and you've uplifted, so many communities in the work that you do. I think one of the things I wanted to ask Wouter is that you were a soloist in the Johannesburg Symphony Orchestra in the early days, and that you trained as an electronic engineer, and you wanted to create music to be a crossover, to a global audience. Did you train both in formal classical Western music as well as popular music? What was the genres of music that you trained in?
Yeah, I trained in Western classical music. That was all that was available at the time, and then I did some training in jazz and pop music as well. I did a year of tertiary education in that as well. But I think in the end, it's what your heart brings to it, and how you listen and how you express it. And so my background is classical, and I'm really grateful for it because it really gives me the tools to do everything I need to do. The technical ability to express myself in the way I want to express and that I need to express myself. So and in my heart, I still think like a classical musician. because the classical way is everything, every phrase has to be exquisitely beautiful. And you spend years, I mean, there's one piece that I've played every day now for at least 10 years, every single day, and I'm still not happy. It's the same piece, the same notes, but you're just trying to find the magic and find something very deep inside the music, and that's kind of the classical way. And so that's kind of at the root. But there's something really deep in roots music as well. So for me, it's a combination of those elements that really keeps me going.
Absolutely fantastic and beautiful. I saw a little bit with Kailash's, sense of folk music, and he wants to actually revive a dying art around that. What do you feel about folk music, wherever you've traveled? I mean, you're now in Australia and you see the indigenous communities. You've come from South Africa and we've got so many different types of rhythms. How do you feel the value of folk music in today's music genres and styles?
Well, I think it's absolutely incredible, the folk music. And I think that's one of the reasons, like when we started touring the United States, we were quite worried that our music would be understood there. But somehow with folk music, it connects so well across cultural lines. So even though the people over there had never heard our music possibly or anything similar, after one listen, they could already connect to it. So I think the folk music is really where it's at. I think everything's really based around the folk music. And I feel there's scope in the world to let folk and roots music be heard more and enter the pop music world to a greater extent. It has already entered it to a big extent, but I think much more can be done. And I appreciate the folk musicians and even the countries who kind of take steps to make that happen, to make people aware of the folk music and help to have it heard on the radio. And it just needs some little nudge and a little support, and the music itself will do the rest.
What a beautiful way to describe it. I also work in the media space, and we managed to do a collaboration with all the seeds of sound of the different traditions, and we put them together with an artist called Pops Muhammad. So I'm not sure if you know him. I'm sure.
I know. And I'm working with him on my next. He's just sent me some tracks a few hours ago, and so we're actually working together at the moment.
Excellent. Oh, he's a good friend of mine as well. And so what we did was an experiment where we collected the seeds of sound from different traditions, and he created this beautiful fusion pieces. And you can't imagine a gospel piece with a Hindi bhajan to a qawwali in the Islamic tradition to a Buddhist choir music. So we managed to do that, and I think we got some recognition from people like Quincy Jones, and they said, well, just continue. Unfortunately, we didn't have the budget at that time. But what do you think of this, the sense of rhythm? Too often, because of institutional religions, etc., we've been so separated. But the moment you break it down and get to just the rhythm, you see something happening and something really magical happening. What are your thoughts on that?
I think in Africa, for example, and in the Middle East and in the East, rhythms are much more complicated and complex than in the traditional Western music. And I think there's a lot of depth there, and there's a kind of a naturalness about it as well. That a lot of the Western music in the Western world is missing. and could benefit greatly from. So, I would love to bring that these exotic rhythms more into the popular music scene. That's one of my missions. So we continually trying to do that. We are exporting the South African culture and music and rhythms, but also combining it with the different roots music all over the world, and then trying to put it in an accessible form where people who haven't heard it before can still grasp it. And so normally what I try and do is kind of layer the music. So at first listen, it's something that you can understand and can very, very much enjoy. But if you listen again, there are kind of hidden layers in the music that you can discover and rediscover as you listen and listen again. And I think that's my ultimate goal, is to be creating that kind of music that has both the accessibility and the depth to to make it possible to listen many, many times.
Absolutely beautiful talking to you. I think it's just amazing. I'm so inspired by all that you have said and shared with us today. Really, really, Wouter Kerman, I'm so privileged. Just as a ending in terms of the interview, it's a pity that Kailash Kher has not been able to come back, but I think they have been trying. Your meeting with Prime Minister Modi was in 2016, and years later you link up with Kailash Kher for International Day of Yoga. What do you feel about this type of synergy? Because Prime Minister Modi's been doing a lot of good work in India in terms of upliftment. Do you see this role as very important for a world leader to actually be a visionary?
Yes, absolutely. And I think India is the world's biggest democracy and has a huge role to play in the world, to lead the world, because the Indian perspective and depth is actually so valuable to the rest of the world that we really need leadership, from India. And so I think he has filled that role, and it was a huge privilege to meet Prime Minister Modi when he came to South Africa. And I think I'm hoping, and I would like to send him lots of good energy to continue that kind of work, and whoever follows him to also continue. Because I think the world is in desperate need of leadership.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, as a visionary, he doesn't see for the welfare of India or his own country. He actually sees for the welfare of the world. And one of the big themes for International Day of Yoga has been about Ubuntu. He himself has said the term is Ubuntu, because it goes back to the principle of I am because you are. And it in the Hindu context, there's no difference between that supreme reality and the individual, that we are all part of the one. So it's like a little drop of water, might be a drop of water, but the moment it enters the ocean, it becomes one with the ocean. So it's just like that, it's the flow of life into one single consciousness. So perhaps at the end, of this interview, and I just want to really say thank you. What is your message to South Africa, and what is your message for the rest of the world after International Day of Yoga?
Yes, I totally agree with you that we are all one, and it's very sad that kind of attitude and that approach to seeing the world is not more common. A lot of leaders in the world are only looking after themselves or their own country, and don't really consider the big picture. So that is a sad state. And actually, my next album is called Pangaea, which was the supercontinent that was in existence before the present continents split off. So the message is, let's all stand together and not be as separated, and let's look out for each other. And that's also where true happiness is found, when you look out for someone else. I think, in my personal humble opinion, that is the real place where happiness is found, and where you can complete yourself, and is when you look out for other people. And I think people should look out for each other, and countries should look out for other countries, and communities should look out for each other. And if we can do that, and it's a huge challenge, because over the last decade or so, things have gone very much in the opposite direction. And so I would love to see it change, and I'm pushing as hard as I can and do my little bit that I can to get us back and on the road that will bring us together.
Thank you so much. It's been a privilege talking to you and sharing with you such wonderful thoughts today, and just, lifting us during this time of the pandemic. It's been really a struggle for many South Africans, as it is with people all over the world. But just these little gems of inspiration, it's actually meant to inspire humanity to actually live a far better quality of life as human beings than just a being of earning money and staying at home and enjoying the luxuries of life. You've actually pivoted us to think about how we are able to save and work for humanity rather than for ourselves. But thank you again, and I really appreciate your time, and all the best for your next album and bringing the world together from the East and the West, from Africa.
Thank you so much for having me. You're doing amazing work, and lovely to chat to you, and hopefully we can stay connected.
Absolutely. Thank you again. Namaste.
Namaste.